ladies and gentlemen, Scotty P here with my man, my co-host, my partner in crime.
They call me Jeff. They call me the Hoaf.
The Hoaf. They do. And now we've been struggling to find a nickname for you, and I don't even really have a good one. Somebody passed me in the hallway and said I should start calling you Hefe.
Dude,
I think that kind of has a ring to it.
Can we go with that?
I can, man.
I like that a lot.
There's some meaning behind it. Maybe we'll have them come on and tell you, because I think there's a movie reference there. I don't know what it is. Do you know what it is?
It's boss in Spanish, but I want to say it's like, is that Nacho Libre?
Maybe. But somebody said I should call you Hefe. And I was like, that's pretty awesome, dude.
You realize you call me boss when you say that.
Yeah.
I like
I didn't know what that meant, but I don't really care. It just sounded cool.
I dig it, man.
Anybody that knows me and him knows who's the boss.
I was going to say.
I can call him whatever he wants, all right?
Do we need to restart this opening now they got a new nickname?
Nah, man. Okay, no, let's let it flow. Now that it's been introduced, we can use it moving forward. So it could be Hefe's Hot Seat.
El Jefe.
Instead of Hofer Hot Seat. I'm telling you, man.
You just changed the entire show. This is amazing.
This just rolls off the tongue. I'm just now thinking about this.
Dude,
I didn't have it.
Hefe's Hot Seat.
It wasn't even written down.
Hey, I don't need this. I'm going to put this over here just so I can see it if I do need it.
Yeah.
Man,
he strategically puts it over here.
Right in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it over here where I can't see it.
Right where I can see it. He's so true. Like it is my crutch. I am a planner. I'm a structured dude, and Scotty is a fly by the seat of his pants sort of guy.
Yep.
And so I usually print off 2 copies of the show rundown. I slide it.
The seat of my pants are fine.
Ends up throwing it somewhere, but
I do. I like to also make you feel uncomfortable. That's the other reason I throw it away.
You're really good at it.
I'm really good at that.
Really good at it.
That's one of my, specialties.
One of your gifts.
So to speak.
Dude, this week is another really busy week around here.
Action-packed week. But before we jump the product, NBA playoffs, bro. Like, I know you're a big hoopster.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you who you like for the playoffs.
I can't answer that question right now.
Okay.
I need about a round, because I do think that teams change come playoff time, right?
That
and some
is no
teams,
doubt.
it's like you could sit here and just be like, I'll give you an example. A couple years ago, I called the Phoenix thing.
You did?
I did. I called
No
it.
kidding.
I'm like, you can just see how they're playing in the playoffs. They just had a different style, and then it's been rolling. So, I think you got to look at the first round, see what happens, and then who knows? And then I'll come back on the future program and give my predictions.
All right. That's a very fair assessment. I think teams like Atlanta, Trae Young plays out of his mind, or at least has played out of his mind in the playoffs. I make it sound like he's been doing that for a decade. He's still young. Last year in the playoffs, he played out of his mind.
But not to interrupt you, because you bring up Trae Young.
Yeah.
So I was looking this morning, because I was just trying to get educated on the whole playoff thing.
Okay.
So Atlanta plays who in the playing game?
They're going to play.
It's somebody good. It's somebody,
Oh gosh, it's tonight at 6.
It's
tonight. It's Wednesday night at 6 o'clock.
But the only thing I could. Oh, you know what it is?
It's over at this point.
It's Charlotte Hornets.
Oh, yes.
And so what I was thinking of myself, going back to the Trae Young thing, is we're gonna lose either Trae Young
or LaMelo.
Yeah. And that's.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either. Because I think both of those guys are gonna have bright futures, and they could have playoff success. But knowing that you're gonna lose one of those guys,
there's
tough.
There's a chance the way the play-in rounds work that they could both make in, because you have 2 chances to win a game to get into the play-in.
I think tonight's, because I was reading up about last night, and there's 2 play-in games. One team automatically goes. Oh, you might be right, because the loser then plays another game.
The winner of another
one.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of confusing.
It's confusing.
I want to say you have 2 guaranteed games, and if you win one of those, you make it into the playoffs.
So last night you had the T-Wolves won, so they automatically go in.
Right,
but they have the loser has to play. But no, because the loser plays the winner of tonight's game, which is the Pelicans and somebody else.
I don't remember, but all
man,
I'm saying
it is so
confusing.
confusing.
Our explanation of the play-in tournament is brilliant.
By the time you watch this, it'll be over and we'll look like idiots.
I know. But okay, so man,
So the long story short, we're losing either LaMelo Ball or Trae Young.
yes,
I think. The way I read it, I think we are.
Well, our dear Mavericks are also going in with an injured Luka, which, God willing, he gets to play after game 1 or game 2, right?
Yeah. And if I hear one more person tell me that the last calf strain that anybody had was KD, and then he blew his Achilles,
I
I'm gonna be
haven't
sick.
even heard that.
I'm gonna be sick.
That's frightening. Yeah, I don't like that at all.
So the last person that had Luka's injury in the playoffs was KD, and it didn't end well.
Should we take a moment to give a shout out
silence?
to
To Luka? No, he hadn't even played
no,
yet.
No, I was thinking a shout out moment of silence for Dwayne Haskins. Has an incredibly sad moment.
Yeah.
And Dwayne Haskins, was he on a Road to the Rated Rookie?
It was before the Road to the Rated Rookie came about, but we did have like an interesting history with him because he, like traditionally, we will take 1 or 2 or even more players to the Super Bowl with us. And he was actually one of the guys that we took to the Super Bowl with us.
No kidding.
Him and Nick Bosa together. And they played together, so that was pretty cool.
Man.
So we did our skills clinic, our Pop Warner skills clinic with him. And then obviously he got picked in the first round, and we did the rookie photo shoot. So just a guy we were around a lot as a rookie.
Yeah, well, I felt like I know he was close to the Panini team, but just such a sad story. So R.I.P. Dwayne Haskins at 24 years old, man. That's a sad story. But I didn't want to not mention him.
Yeah.
Gosh, go downer. Sorry. There is baseball starting.
Baseball started, yes. Baseball's going full cylinders.
Do you go out to any of the Rangers games?
No.
None?
No.
Are you a Rangers fan? No?
I like baseball. I mean, I played baseball growing up, but nah, I don't. I mean, I will tell you that I had zero incentive to go to a baseball game and sit in that hot heat at Texas Stadium.
Right.
And that might be my like snootiness coming out, but I'm not sitting in those seats and melting to the plastic.
With the new stadium, though, they've got
It is. That's the only thing.
So
Yeah. Then COVID hit, and I don't think they had any fans the first year, and then last year they had fans, but it'll be my luck to open the dome up that day, and I'll still be sitting outside.
There's just a beam of light on your row.
So I'm out on So
who is your Major League Baseball team, though? If you had to cheer for one team,
the Cowboys.
There you go. I see where we're going here. Okay.
Yeah. So
Scotty is definitely a football team.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see how they do in the pennant, or so to speak, or the October chase or whatever they call it.
Okay, speaking of football,
go Cowboys.
We got a really cool football product that we're going to
Everybody loves
Encased here in a little bit. So, Encased, you guys are. We'll talk more about that later. And then we have Contenders Basketball, which people talk about. Contenders Football, obviously, it's a staple for the hobby. I really dig Contenders Basketball.
All the Contenders is really cool. I remember when we did Contenders for the first time in a sport other than football, and people just went and looked at us all funny.
Really?
And I'm like, it's the same thing, just a different sport. And it took a while to catch on, but now I think people have really caught on, and it's popular in every sport.
I have a good conversation in the Hefe hot seat.
The Hefe hot
today.
seat.
I'm going to be talking to
Flames.
I'm going to be talking to Tim
the
Trout.
boss seat. It's the boss seat.
Tim Trout, who is the director of product development.
Shout out to
every.
He plays for the Angels, right?
He does. I forgot to ask him about Mike Trout.
Yeah.
I wish it. No,
he plays for the Angels. It's really. He's got a big bat. They say 5 tools.
He kind of looks a little bit like Mike Trout with a little bit of a beard.
Okay.
You don't see it?
He looks like an unathletic Mike Trout. How about that?
Shout out, Tim.
Shout out to unathletes everywhere. How about that?
Oh, man. I'm definitely in that camp.
But yeah, no, man. He's the racing guy in the building. I've really enjoyed getting to like learn racing. And then by going to the Daytona this year and And, kind of doing goofy things, interviewing Joey and Austin Cindric, who then went on to win the Daytona 500 and all stuff like that. I mean, it's been fun. I got the bug.
And I was going to say, and
you got to go,
you're watching.
You got to go to, have you ever been to a race?
No, never.
You got to go to a race.
I know.
Because if you go to a race and you just get down in the pits and you hear the noise and you just experience the whole thing, you'll be hooked, man.
Was there tons of tailgating going on beforehand? I heard NASCAR is famous for their tailgate.
I think it's like the tailgate starts like on Wednesday and doesn't end until like the following Wednesday. So it's like a 24/7 pretty much tailgate party.
I love that, man. But Scotty's being honest now. So I'll text him on the weekend occasionally, and he's watching racing.
Yeah.
So he's committed. That you really did get the bug.
I'm in. I got the bug. The only thing that prevents us from watching NASCAR is if Little Badger's got a soccer game. But for the most part, we'll have it on, and she'll always ask how Joey's doing. So shout out to Joey P2 last week.
Yes.
Yeah. Almost had it. I was almost ready to text you.
I know. I was keeping track of that.
I'd be like, hey, man, watch out for Joey, man. So that was different, too, because it was a Saturday night race.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned Badger. How'd she do in the Masters pool?
Not as good as the NCAA March Madness pool where she finished second. Shout out. But she finished right in the middle.
Okay.
She finished right in the middle. Like I told you, I don't know whether I told the story, but she just looked at me and said, "Yeah, you'll be laughing when Tiger wins, Daddy." And I think I was laughing when it was ending, but no, she did good. She had Tiger and Tony Finau.
Okay.
And they just besides that though, she picked a winner. She had Scotty.
She did. Okay.
She did have Scotty, and
nice.
So she. I mean,
man,
for 11 years old, she's got it.
I might run any picks I have coming up by your daughter because
she's good.
She's got good.
She may have won. I have to double check. May have won the family fantasy football pick the pool last year.
Are you serious?
Yeah, she's all good, man.
My gosh. And again,
she's gonna be on the Hofer hot seat.
She's gonna be in here. She's gonna help us out with the World Cup. So I'm looking forward to the Badger Minute or whatever we call that.
The Badger Moment. We're gonna call it the Badger Moment. Just because, if it goes longer than a minute, it'll look stupid calling it a minute. Is what I figured.
That's very smart. I like that. All right, well, I'm gonna get Tim in here and
I'm gonna get out here. I'm gonna get out, and Tim is
starting to warm up.
Tim is gonna jump right here and talk NASCAR with you.
All right,
like boogity boogity boogie. Let's go racing, boys.
Let's do it. What's up, guys? We are here in the Hofer's hot seat with my guy Tim Trout here.
Yes,
Tim, you got a long title here, so bear with me for 1 second. He is the Director of Product Development for Racing, Baseball, Soccer, Collegiate Products, and Blockchain.
Yes, sir.
Holy smokes, dude.
It's a lot of stuff.
Sounds
like a lot.
You're a busy man.
It sounds like a lot more than it is, probably. No,
I feel bad for sending you all the emails that I've sent you at this point in time because I can only imagine
I
your
ignore
inbox
most of them anyways. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, so I know a bit of your background in the hobby, but just for the folks who aren't as familiar with you, how long have you been at Panini?
I've been at Panini for a little over 10 years. Before that, I was at Beckett for 12 years.
Wow.
And I was in the pricing area for those 12 years. So I've been around this industry for a long time.
My gosh.
A long time.
So was it graduate from college and then jump right into the hobby?
It was actually, when I got done with school, I actually worked at a finish line. I managed the finish line in the mall for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And I realized I did not want to work in a mall as an adult at that point. And we moved to Dallas, and I saw Beckett was there. Sent a resume in and got hired. It seems that simple, but it took a little while.
Well, I am seeing a sports theme. So
yes.
Were you an athlete in school?
Yes, I played baseball in college. I was a baseball player.
And very nice.
I love baseball.
I joke a lot about the fact that Panini should start a baseball team, if at least a beer league softball team. But we got a lot of former baseball players and some current baseball players under the roof here. So I wanted to ask you, with all this experience and time in the hobby, is the past 2 to 3 years the
I've never
craziest
seen
period
it.
you've
I've
ever-
never seen it. Like I said, I've been in the hobby since probably 2000, professionally since 2000. And I was a collector since I was like, I think I went to my first card show. I was like 6 or 7 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
okay.
I've been doing this pretty much all of my life. And I say adult life, but I feel sometimes like I'm still a child because
Panini will do that to you.
I love trading cards. Yeah. I'm kind of a big kid. I mean, I still play baseball in a men's old man league. I'm a child. I'm a child. It's that simple. Yeah. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of fun, and it's cool because it's stuff that I would have probably been doing at home had I not been doing this. If I were working, a different type of job, I would be doing the same kind of stuff at home in my spare time in the evenings, whether it's looking up prices or just collecting. I mean, I've been a collector for pretty much the whole time, but I've never seen anything like this. Since I can remember. I mean, we've had a few streaks in there where it was hot, but never like this. Not even close.
Do you think this craziness is going to continue? Like, I don't see any signs of it slowing down.
I don't see it slowing down. If it does, there's definitely a new plateau for it. I mean, if it ever does go down, I think the bar is so much higher than it's ever been that even a little dip won't be anything like what we've seen in the late 90s when there were what felt like 100 different card manufacturers out there trying to make stuff.
So in all of the different areas you work, racing, baseball, soccer, collegiate, and blockchain, what area have you seen the most growth in of all those?
For Panini, it has been, I mean, for the entire market, baseball for sure.
Baseball.
But collegiate for Panini, since I've been here with, since we started doing the collegiate stuff in, 6-7 years ago, I think, that one has grown quite a bit, only because what we did when we first started, we did everything together with basketball, football. We did merged products, essentially. And then we realized that, there's two different collector bases. Products need to be built differently. Right. So we split them off. And once they were split off and we kind of did basketball exclusive, football exclusive, and then even our baseball stuff is pretty exclusive. I've seen a lot of growth on that side as well.
You'd mentioned being a collector. What do you collect? Like what do you?
Man,
I still collect, right?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I collect, according to my wife, too much. But my main focus is probably baseball, basketball, and then of course NASCAR. Since I've worked on NASCAR for so long, I've kind of grown to start collecting it. But I started that years ago. When I first started with NASCAR, when I first was at Beckett and I got put into the NASCAR area, I started collecting. That was probably in early 2000. So I've been doing it for a long time. Baseball I've collected since I was about 5. Basketball since I was probably 10 or so, 11. I'm a big Chicago Bulls fan.
You are? Okay.
And a big Cubs fan. And
what's the background with Chicago? Are you from?
Well, I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in Iowa, about 2.5, 3 hours away from Chicago.
Got it. That makes sense.
So growing up, I was Michael Jordan. He was right in my wheelhouse all the way through. I even named my son Jordan because of his airness. But yeah, so I've collected baseball, basketball for the longest, and then racing was one that I kind of added in 20 years ago.
So
it's been a while.
I don't know a ton about racing. I'm learning. I'm trying to pick up a lot since I've been here. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's something that I need to be more knowledgeable about. Have you always been a racing fan?
So when I was younger, I watched racing.
Okay.
And as a kid, I watched it, but it was mostly because I was really fascinated with the different paint schemes. I thought those were the coolest things. So as a kid, kind of like you root for your favorite team because of their uniforms, maybe, or the colors, or the mascots, whatever. With racing, that's kind of how I got started watching it. And then I would play the video games, and I would get to pick up the different paint schemes and create different ones. And that's honestly what got me interested in it. And then obviously once I started at Beckett, I had an opportunity to go full force in it, and that was kind of my thing. And that was my genre, apparently, when I was at Beckett. And I went all in. I went all in on it and just have followed ever since. And, every week you got something new going on. And between die casts, trading cards, everything we cataloged when I was there, I got just immersed in it. So
you trial by fire, you learn quick.
Yes,
Put in a position to just kind of learn rapidly.
Yes.
So this podcast will come out on Friday. So you have a release coming out today.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about this product a little bit?
It's Donruss Racing. It is the 6th version we've done since we've had the NASCAR license. Okay. This is number 6 for Donruss. Last year we snuck in a bunch of buybacks, which was kind of a surprise to a lot of collectors. But over the years, when we go through our QC cases, we'll break a case to make sure all the hits are falling at the right ratios, the inserts are falling and such. And I honestly have had those QC cases, the singles, just kind of stacking up on my desk. And last year when I was sitting there, I was like, you know what? I remember back in the late 90s, there was a trading card manufacturer, Max, that went back and
I remember those.
And
cards,
they went back and they did the buybacks and did some 5th anniversary buybacks. And I thought, you know what? We're going to do our 5th year of it last year. Let's get a lot of these signed. I have them all right here, right? I have all these cards, and we'll go ahead and we'll get some of these cards signed, and then we'll put them in packs. And they were just a bonus.
So buybacks, for people that aren't familiar with, are cards that came out like Donruss from years prior.
And typically what will happen on buybacks when we do stuff, we'll have to go out and buy old cards. We'll go to one of our reps, one of our not manufacturers, but one of our distributors, one of our hobby shops that we work with a lot, and we'll purchase. Here are the cards we need. They'll provide them for us.
Okay.
And that's typically how the buyback works. And we got them signed, hand signed, stamped, hand numbered. And put them in the packs. And it was essentially every pack last year was getting 1 autograph and 2 memorabilia cards per pack.
Wow.
Or not pack, sorry, per box.
Yeah.
And then we decided we had enough of those buybacks. And it was basically however many we can get back, we're going to throw in there. And it got to a point where I'm not going to say it was every other box, maybe every 3rd box, you got an extra autograph.
No kidding.
So there were a lot of them in there, yeah. And
That's
I mean, it was
so
just
cool.
we had so many different players to choose from, or drivers to choose from, that we got everything we had of them. We got signed and put it back in.
Well, let's open up some packs here. So
Sure.
we're gonna split a box here.
Sure.
So are there now? I saw Joey Logano and Austin were on a stream where they're opening some products. They're
Sure.
opening National Treasures. Are there many collectors in NASCAR?
There are. So NASCAR, the NASCAR collectors, as far as drivers or just regular collectors, you asked?
Either or.
So
Yeah,
for
but I thought it was
for
cool that
NASCAR,
the drivers were.
there are a lot of guys that collect their stuff because they do so much stuff of their own. Like they do their own type of marketing and everything, and they're kind of their own PR guys to a point.
Right. That's a good. Point.
So they do all these different sponsorships. They have all these guys, manufacturers they have to work with. They work with their different sponsors. A lot of these guys get different stuff because after a race, you win a race, they try on. They call it a hat dance.
Gotcha.
And they try on each different hat with the team, and they'll wear 10, 15, 20 hats, whatever their sponsors are. So they have a team photo from the victory lane for everything. So I think a lot of time over the years, these guys have kind of just accrued stuff.
Sure.
So some of them collect themselves, their different memorabilia. But as far as the trading cards go, I've run into a few drivers that collect stuff. One of them was an older driver, Kenny Wallace. He was really big, but he's surprisingly, when I interviewed him way back in my Beckett days, he was a big St. Louis Cardinals collector.
Really?
Loved Albert Pujols, loved Yadier Molina. So he collected like baseball cards, baseball jerseys, stuff like that. So a lot of these guys are collectors, and I mean, I met Casey Kane. He was a big collector too.
No kidding.
He loved baseball cards. When I was with Beckett, I got to interview him as well, and he was explaining to me his baseball card collection, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, there are a lot of these athletes do collect, especially these drivers. The ones that I've run into, there's a lot more that collect than you would expect.
Is there any premium on the car cards? Because I personally love the card cards. This is Brad Kozlowski.
Yep.
And that is...
So a lot of times, again, it kind of goes back to that paint scheme where you kind of like the different paint schemes. Some people are drawn to that.
Yeah.
Some people are more drawn, and that's one thing different with NASCAR is you'll find a lot of collectors out there. Obviously, there are a lot of collectors that just collect straight. Here's my driver. Here's the team that I collect. That's what I want. Or because there's not as much, you have a lot of collectors that'll go out and try to do like what we call like a master set. Like they'll get the base set. They'll try to get all the regular parallel sets completed.
Yeah.
Do the inserts, do the parallels. Not the super short stuff, but they'll try to do the other stuff and kind of put a master collection of the program together. Even autographs. So they'll try to do everything because, if there's 4 or 5 sets a year, and that's kind of what it had been, back when Press Pass was doing it, there were maybe 8 or 9 sets max.
Okay.
During the year. And they could put all these sets together. So they would build sets, complete sets, master sets is what we called them. So they were very, completionist of sorts.
Gotcha.
So
that's a real collector move,
right,
to collect
right.
all those different levels of sets.
Exactly. And then what I was kind of going with is with the car cards, there are some collectors that are out there that may not necessarily be a huge NASCAR collector, but they collect M&M stuff. And now you get an M&M's paint scheme or Coca-Cola or what you have these other people that will kind of branch out and grab stuff because of that. So the sponsor is very important on a lot of these.
See, the paint scheme is something completely new
Yes.
to me, talking about that and
Right.
potentially collecting along those lines. So, got this cool action-packed Kevin Harvick.
That's my guy. I
Is
like
it?
Kevin Harvick, yeah.
So he's obviously been in the game for a while, but
Yep.
how long has he been in NASCAR?
So he actually started in, I believe, 98 was his first year.
Okay.
And I actually, because when I first started following it, it was around about that same time, and he was in the lower series, which used to be the Busch series. And
Okay.
I didn't necessarily collect stuff back then. I liked, I was just getting into it and just kind of getting into the paint schemes. And of course, everybody at that time, it was you like Dale Sr. or you like Jeff Gordon.
Right.
And
Two
Jeff
jobs.
Gordon was younger, so that's the guy I kind of followed the first couple of years. And as I was going through that, Dale Sr. passed away like the first or second year I was working on NASCAR at Beckett. And his replacement was Kevin Harvick. He basically stepped into that car a couple weeks later, took over his car, and I was like, you know what? That's the guy. So that's how I chose the driver.
No
Like,
kidding.
yeah. And I was like, that's the guy. He's brand new. He's going to be a rookie this year, and he's taking over for that. He's a young guy, so that's a guy that I can follow all the way through. And I'm not jumping on, let's say, a bandwagon where it's
Right.
Jeff Gordon or Dale Sr. that have been there before I was really into it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I've started following him.
I love that. Have you
Yeah.
met him?
I actually did get to meet him at Texas Motor Speedway once.
Really?
Yeah, again, years ago when I was at Beckett. We used to do a lot of coverage, and then as I kind of mentioned to you earlier, I used to do that radio show about NASCAR collectibles, and I got to meet a handful of guys that way as well. So I have had a lot more opportunity to meet a lot of these drivers, which, again, it's just, I think people always say perks of the job. That is a real perk of the job. It's kind of cool to meet a lot of these guys.
No doubt. So I got a Tony Stewart out of 199, like the blue parallel. So who has been the most fun to interact with of all the, and you can even go with any athletes, but let's start with drivers.
I would say of all of them, the most fun for drivers, it has to be Kenny Wallace.
Really?
Just because he's a very entertaining guy.
Okay.
He's very passionate about what he does. And because I mentioned I'm a Cubs fan, he's a Cardinals fan. That's a somewhat rivalry.
Yeah,
so,
I was gonna say.
so when I first started
Yeah,
doing
he's
the
got
interview, it was kind of a little, I don't want to say tense, but he made it very entertaining. And
Were you wearing a Cubs hat or something?
No. But I mentioned that I was a Cubs because he said he collected Cardinals. So I said,
Got it.
I'm a Cubs fan. And then I realized what I had said and thought, this may not go as well
You've
as I'd
drawn a
hoped.
line. Yes.
Yeah, here's a pretty cool one. Ty Dillon, Donruss Optic autograph.
So there's so many cool insert sets in this release. Like I opened up a box yesterday and I was blown away, and I wrote about it in the blog, and I was just so impressed with the release in itself. And I've had several requests for Donruss Racing from the big racing collectors. We have a couple of guys that we're friends with that build the sets, and I get it now. Like this is the one product where they're like, hey, if you guys, want to sponsor something, we would love to have a box.
Yeah. Well, what we try to do with Donruss, and this goes for every sport, is Donruss is supposed to be kind of that introductory level program for every sport that we have. I mean, it's kind of that very, very, inexpensive brand. It's an affordable brand, and it's supposed to be a lot of fun to open. You got a variety of different substrates. You have a lot of different inserts. And it's not necessarily a hit-driven program. While we have hits in it, it's supposed to be more about the experience to open up. Like for racing, you get to see, if your driver's Chase Elliott, you get to see him in probably 6 or 7 different cards in the program because of the inserts and just because we go so deep on the checklist.
And so I should also call out, because I'm one of the things I love about Donruss is that I'm so familiar with that brand growing up collecting Donruss baseball cards. And this is the 81 Donruss design, which I thought was fun, that we had a throwback to that.
Yeah.
That was the first year Donruss released.
Correct.
So it's a big deal. I remember looking for I think it was the Tim Raines rookie from 81.
Yeah.
And it was the second year Ricky Henderson, which was a big deal.
And if you remember back there were so many variations because of errors in printing, and
yes,
because it was the first time they were doing it. It was filled with variations, errors.
Well, I remember it. So back in the days when you would buy a hard copy of Beckett, obviously they still have hard copies, but a lot of people are on their digital version now. But I would go through and they would have the errors marked in there, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!"
Yeah. And then you're looking for all of your cards, trying to, and then talk
box.
about a master collection to build that set. You get your 660 cards, but then you also have to go back and think, okay, now there's another 50 versions of different cards.
Right.
So you have to go add all those into your set, and well, you need more pages in your binder at that point.
So I got a really cool out of $2.99 Kevin Harvick, which I'm going to give Tim for his PC. That is a good looking card. There you are, sir.
Oh, perfect.
So I would like to make note, Scotty usually gives me a hard time for having organized stacks. Tim is taking the next level. He's sorting as he's going along. Even your trash pile is clean. I am so impressed.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is how I open cards at home.
I love it. I love it.
As I told you earlier, I'm still kind of that guy. I still go buy cards. I love to open cards, and I have them sorted that way when I'm done with, breaking it.
Yeah.
It's easy to put them
Then
away.
you know exactly what you have. Well, I just want to say to the collectors out there that you will meet a lot of folks like Tim here in Panini. These are the people that are creating these great products for you guys, and they are collectors themselves. So it's coming from a good place, and they're developing things that they would like themselves, which in turn you guys like. So
For sure.
this is really cool. Contenders, Joey Logano, our guy. That's a great looking.
Yeah, that was one of the things when I first started over here, and it's funny because a lot of the guys that I work with, a lot of the guys back there, or I should say, we've had a lot of guys through the building that have come through Beckett, and we've, over at Beckett, it's a little different in that we're on the other side of things over there. Where here, you're making the cards. Over there, you're just reporting on the cards.
Right.
But we've had a lot of guys who've gone through Beckett, and so I've known a lot of the guys. When I first came over, I knew a lot of the guys already because they worked over there with me, but they were all collectors. And when I first got here, they said the key to when you're building these products, one of the biggest keys is you're a collector. Think about what you would want to see. Think about what you would want to buy. Would you spend money on what you're building? And if the answer is yes, then you're doing it right.
Right.
And a lot of people ask, what's the magic formula? I mean, there's a lot of formulas, but the one thing is that kind of that eye test that they always talk about for the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
Give them the eye test. You got to give this product the eye test and see if it's something you would buy. And if the answer is yes, then you're doing a good job.
I 100% relate to that. So I write the majority of our blogs here, and I have an opportunity most of the time to open a box of the product prior to writing about. And I got to tell you, it makes all the difference in the world to be able to open some of the packs, thumb through the coalition, and figure out like what the product's all about and kind of where the value is, and do the eye test.
Yeah.
And here's a Danica Patrick, one of the, what do we call this, a car card?
It is, I can't see it. That is an insert, but of the car, yes.
Yeah.
That's from the Under the Lights one. There's a lot of night races, and the idea behind this was most night races, they'll have a special paint scheme. The
Really?
majority of them. Well, not everyone, but the
Okay.
majority of them, they'll have something unique. And it was probably a little more popular, 5-10 years ago when they would do different type of paint schemes to make it really pop under the lights.
Okay.
Because it was going to be a prime time viewing. You
yeah.
want to make that thing pop. So you would
Makes
see a
sense.
lot more unique paint schemes under the lights, and that was kind of the idea for this insert, was to just kind of focus on the unique paint schemes that you'd find under the lights.
Got it. So, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, but would you consider Donruss to be a good kind of entry point for racing fans that are
Yes.
also wanting to collect their favorite drivers through sports cards?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Donruss is a great entry level because typically, crazy markets like this make it a little different, but typically It's a very affordable brand, and you get a good variety of stuff. And quite honestly, in Donruss, of all of our programs, is going to be your deepest checklist. So if you collect a little more obscure guys or drivers, I shouldn't even say guys because there's gals in here too. If you collect more obscure drivers, this is going to be, or any sport, if you collect more obscure players, this is where you will find the majority of those guys.
Okay.
Just because we have a deeper checklist, typically the sets are a little bit bigger. We have 1, 2, 300 card sets depending on the sport, so you'll get a bigger variety of player. You'll get a lot more of those fan favorites from your hometown team as opposed to just the superstars.
Got it.
And we have more than just Donruss that does that, but this is one that I always tell people, this is the set when you want to collect the more obscure players.
Collectors love the obscure things too.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Especially if it's a driver that doesn't always make the big sets.
Or even on the lower tiers. That's
Yeah,
where
that
you'll
too.
find it. If you have a guy that's kind of up and coming, we have a pretty good chunk of rookies in here that making their debut. A lot of guys we find, through ARCA, through the lower series who just haven't had the exposure yet. and we'll introduce them in Donruss, and they'll get their rated rookie card in here. And then a year later, if they've moved from maybe the Truck series or from ARCA into the Trucks or into the Xfinity series, they'll get some cards in here. Some of their base cards will be in here, and it'll be another place to chase them. And because of the parallels and the different inserts, you have a lot more stuff to collect of your driver. Where maybe he's not going to find himself in a National Treasures because he's not that big of a name yet.
Right.
You will see him here, and you'll have a little more than just 1 or 2 cards to chase.
Are there any young drivers that you would maybe recommend the collectors out there look for?
I will tell you that the one that they're already looking for, her name's Haley Deegan.
Yes.
They've been chasing her since we brought her in here a few years back. And she's kind of blown up just in popularity.
She's got a huge presence on social
She
media
does.
too, so
She
she's
does.
doing great on the
And
marketing.
the other
of
thing
career.
with her is her father, is Brian Deegan, who was, I believe he's like a 10 or 12-time X Games champion.
You're kidding.
No, I think he did motocross.
Wow.
Which brought in some of those racing fans that kind of had that that crossover.
That makes sense.
And that along with her being just a young star getting involved has really helped her exposure take off. Did you get a jersey or a
So this is
mem card
really
as well?
cool. It's called Race Day Relics. This is this a suit relic? Or
That
what?
is a tire.
That's a top.
So when tires are cut,
Wow.
I know a lot of people ask that question because it looks a lot different than just a regular tire that you would see on the track.
Right.
The way they cut the tires is they shave them down a little bit. They cut them into like slices like bologna.
That's
it's usually off the
really
side.
cool.
And you got Chase Elliott, and I have Bubba Wallace.
Nice.
And while it might be tough to see in his camouflage uniform, it's Columbia. That's a joke. Because it's camo.
Yeah.
You don't have to laugh at my jokes.
No,
Just
that's
smile
good.
and go along.
Oh, and another Chase Elliott card in here. So is this kind of like just a parallel, the gray borders?
Yeah, the gray is the most common parallel.
Got it.
And I will tell you, since you mentioned that, I want to show this card. Actually, I want to show a couple cards side by side here,
Yeah.
if I can. So, and I had this when I was first opening the product, that it's a little tough to tell on these rated rookies, that sometimes you will have the gray border here, you'll notice in the background, you'll see a little more of the gray than you would on the regular one. That is the gray parallel. And when I was sorting them the first time, I caught myself a lot of times when I was opening our QC going, oh, that's just a base. And then look at it and go, wait, that's not right. Because you can tell by the white
That's
backgrounds
the
on
parallel.
those.
Oh, yeah, it makes sense. seeing
So
them side
when
by
you're
side.
just looking at them and it's in with this, you don't necessarily notice it. But
Look what I pulled
pay attention
here.
when you're opening your packs.
Speaking of Haley Deegan. All right, so I've got.
I still got.
You want here? I would rather you open an extra
Okay.
one. And
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you.
anything really noteworthy over there? That,
Yeah, you know what? I haven't shown off.
Okay.
I'm just sorting cards.
I know.
I'm
you're
just
having a
enjoying
great time.
I'm just a child over
You're
here.
relaxing
Don't
me
worry.
just with the stacks. you got
sorting.
over there. Yeah, that's great.
That way they're easy to find later. Yeah, I'd say, you pulled a Kevin Harvick parallel. I pulled a Kevin Harvick parallel, and then I pulled Kevin Harvick green parallel of the car, which
Harvick
is
hot
numbered
box.
to 99.
There we
It
go.
is. It is. It is a hot box.
And I love that we have Donruss and Optic in
Mm-hmm.
this product.
Yeah, and that was something we added
There's
a
an
couple years
optic.
ago. We added one optic card in every pack. You'll see that in the retail side as well. You'll get one of those. Just because we only do 4 programs, we've tried to add a little more collected.
So
a
right
little
now
more.
it's Prism, Donruss, National Treasures. What is the fourth?
Chronicles.
Chronicles.
Which
Oh, cool.
Chronicles, and that's another point to that is with Chronicles. Again, there's so many driver collectors out there, and you only have so few programs out.
Yeah.
Chronicles gives you, if you are a Dale Jr. fan or a Chase Elliott, you'll probably find 25 different cards of those guys in there. So there's so many different brands, and because we can take all the brands we do in the other sports and drop them in there in just a smaller sampling, it makes it very, very unique. There's a lot of different substrates, a lot of different designs. So every pack you open is going to be unique. I mean, there's so much stuff to see in there. So that's honestly one of my favorite brands.
Well, it's Chronicles typically. I haven't opened any Chronicles Racing, but it's typical rookie heavy.
It is very
for
heavy.
The collectors that want the first card of whoever.
Yeah, and it for most sports it is very rookie heavy. For NASCAR, it has a lot of rookies, but it's not quite as heavy as you would see in baseball or basketball or football.
Got it.
Just because our rookies, we don't have nearly as many rookies, but just because our player universe is much smaller.
Right. That's
I mean, you have 40 guys on the Cup Series and 40. So you're at about 120 on the 3 major series, and then from there it's you have some other guys sprinkled in. I say 40. It's typically around 40. You'll have a couple guys that only race 3 or 4 times. So if you go deeper, you might get to 75 or 100. But there's not a huge universe of players. So we have to make our full sets with all this different stuff with the smaller universe. So you will see a lot more, and that's why there's a lot more designs that you'll find in NASCAR than you would in maybe baseball or basketball.
Is there any plans to expand into any different brands that we aren't in right now?
As far as racing?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
We had talked about bringing, as far as brands like Prime, we've done that before. We've had a few requests, a lot of requests from people to bring it back. And Prime, because it was so memorabilia heavy, what we would do is, and we followed the lead of what we did in hockey, and that was probably 10 years ago.
Okay.
Where we would take the full fire suit. If you look at a fire suit, look at the full patch on the front, and we would cut that up into maybe 7 or 8, 10, depending on how big it was, jumbo pieces of material, so you could piece it together. And those were your jumbo patches, and you could actually piece together the entire thing.
No kidding.
They were all essentially one.
So I know NT had some pretty good size patches.
Exactly. But what we did is we actually took one full patch, and you'd have to get all of them to put the puzzle together.
That's cool.
So we did that with some different drivers, and that was something with Prime that really, really drew collectors in. Obviously we do the jumbo patches for, if you look here, you have the Chevrolet logo.
Yeah.
We'll do that as its own patch on a lot of these with the jumbo.
I'm embarrassed to say I'm just getting the reference for the name Prime and Prime patches.
Exactly.
So that makes
it's okay.
Just catching up to things here, folks.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
So this has nothing to do with racing, but I'm going to ask you anyways because I've got you here, Tim. I have to get your take on the 2018-19 Prism Black Luka Doncic and its current whereabouts. Do you think it is currently dusty in a case in some obscure warehouse somewhere? Do you think it's in some super collector's collection that doesn't care about Instagram and hasn't made it public known that he has it, or he or she has it? Or do you think it's lost and maybe got thrown into the wrong box? And
well, I will tell you, it's probably not lost.
Okay, I know. That's the least likely.
I would say more than likely it is. 18, 19, a lot of that's probably been ripped by now. Although I would say it's one of two, but it's either still in packaging or it's in somebody's collection. And I think if it's in somebody's collection, you may not see it for a while. I
know. I hope that's not the case. I really want it to be in unopened product and maybe is on the market. That way, in my little mind, there's a chance that
you'll see it show up someday. And that's the crazy thing. That's what was really cool with a lot of this NASCAR stuff is you see these really cool patches, and I was fortunate enough to see them on the front end when we're building them. On the back end, I don't necessarily see them all because they're not all done in case breaks. They're not all done online.
Sure.
And while a lot of people do like to show off their collection, a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
And they just kind of keep them put away, and it's like, I'm glad I got to see it before.
Are there ever any special cards that you see as it's going into packs? And you're like, gosh, I hope I see that again, and you've actually been able to see it pulled? Or?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it was one of the baseball cards that we built was the booklet card with. It had Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth cut sig, but they were signed side by side when we found the cut.
Oh my god!
So they were literally signed right on top of each other. So we had one cut that had both of them on it. It wasn't two separate ones; it was one cut, and then we had the material with each of them, and it was a
What
booklet.
product was that in?
It was in Treasures a couple of years ago.
Okay. Oh my god!
And I remember seeing it, and then I remember seeing it come up online on eBay for sale, and thinking, my wife's going to kill me, but I want to put a bid on that. I did. No. I'm still here today.
Tim Trout, You're awesome,
Thank you
man.
so much.
Thank you for your time in here.
Thanks.
And I am so impressed by your sorting piles. And
Thank you.
You are a great guest, and thanks for all the insight into racing. I'll still be emailing you or
Absolutely.
or texting or teamsing or whatever comes up of the day
Sure.
to ask my random questions. But I appreciate all of your insight,
Absolutely.
and we'll have to do this again sometime.
Anytime.
All right,
Thanks
buddy.
again.
And we're back, man. And we're back for the best part. I mean, it's all the best part, but the part that y'all want to see the most, which is Panini Unwrap. That's where we open product. And we got two good ones.
Rip.
Well, did you open NASCAR with Tim or no?
We did.
So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the third box of cards we're
Three
going to be
for one.
opening.
3 for 1
You get a
ounce.
3 for today.
It's-
I think they would call that a golden sombrero in baseball or
I
something
like
like
that.
that.
Hat
All right?
trick.
The Hefe would call it a golden sombrero. Anyway, we got Encased and we got Contenders Basketball. So what we're going to do is we're going to each open Encased and
Yeah,
then we're
yeah.
going to split Contenders.
What do you want to start with?
I want to start with football.
All right, let's do it.
Football is the best thing going.
And Encased is such a fun break.
No offense to my family, but yes, I mean, football's the best thing in my life. Sorry. All right, how are we doing this,
That's
man?
okay.
Are we gonna do the small pack? So
yeah,
first
yeah,
of all, we always skip ahead. I always like
You're
to do
right,
this
you're
too.
right.
So here we go. We got 2 autographs and 2 memorabilia cards. I had to double check. I was about to say it.
Now that you
But
nailed
I
it,
didn't want you to call
nailed
me
it.
on that.
And there's 2 packs, so it's kind of
Yeah.
misleading. But a lot of times we say 1 pack, but technically
So
there's 2.
there's 2 packs, Hefe.
Yep.
You got 2 right there. One that is a graded card, and one that is not graded cards. See that? See the difference?
Yep.
Like you can tell the difference in size. Does the one that's graded jump out to you?
If
Well,
I
yeah,
had to
'cause it's in the
guess-
black
If
pack.
I had to guess.
This guy. All right, here we go. What are we doing first?
Let's do the non-graded
So,
first.
the
We build up
non-graded.
to the graded card.
Ooh.
I think grading is expensive these days, and you got to wait for
Alright.
your stuff in. That's why I love these boxes. You get a graded card immediately.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
you get something big.
No, I just was
Okay, let's do it.
waiting for you to stop talking. I'm
Good luck.
just kidding. All
All right, here we go.
right, here we go. Tyreek Hill base card. Boom. Although he's in the wrong
No
uniform.
longer on the Chiefs. I
know,
got
man.
Jamal
That-
Adams base.
That hurts you, bro. I bet.
Dude, that did. That
did.
was
That's a
that
tough
was a
one.
shot.
All right, next one. Ooh. So are they all the hits number 2? Like this one's out of
think so.
75.
Yeah.
This is a triple of Damani Brown. Damani?
Sure. Triple. I have a triple as well. Tylan Wallace. I'm guessing that second card is always a triple. And this one's got some nice colors on it.
Nice. And so now I hold no secrets as to who I cheer for. So I'm excited to see if this is maybe
Oh, hey.
numbered out of 50. Future wave, Micah Parsons.
Dude,
My dude.
that's a sick card. And I got
Very
a
cool.
substantial rookie swatches. I got Davis Mills out of 60. Nice big jersey patch. Jersey swatch, I should say. It's not a patch.
And I like this one. My last card is a scripted signatures out of 50. And it says skull right there. So there are other people out there that also know that my family is Viking season ticket holders.
Is that right?
So I've been up to the stadium a few times. So I always
How
give
often do you make that?
I always give the skull when I can to my family.
So this is a rookie cap patch autograph of Tyler Johnson. This is out of 50. That's a pretty cool card.
Very cool.
Now for the moment of truth.
This is the truth. This is when we hit truth bombs, bro. Are we gonna slow? We're slowing it.
Yeah. You want to do one at a time?
Nah.
You're very efficient.
No, I'm saying like slow it. Like you ripped, you
yeah,
shredded and went all the way. I like to look.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I've got a gold label, dude.
I'm excited about this one.
You are?
I'm going to let you have a...
Ooh.
You heard of him?
Oh,
Ever heard of him?
Yeah. All right. So let me go first because
Okay,
mine
yeah.
doesn't match that. Although a lot of people are pretty high on this guy. I'm seeing a gold labeled
Oh,
9.5.
dude.
Rashard,
That is a serious patch.
Rashard Bateman out of 25.
That is a serious patch.
Would you call that a sick patch?
I would if I used that term.
Sick. That is pretty dope.
Okay, so
All right.
Oh man, this is... Look at that.
Oh, wow.
That's beautiful.
That's very
so
cool.
this is out of 20. A guy named Barry Sanders. He must be a prospect.
Shout out to Barry Sanders, who he hits us up all the time. He does a lot of fun stuff. He's Panini's own.
Barry
great
Sanders
guy.
is. I grew up with Barry Sanders being the greatest running back ever. Some would argue, and it's signed in blue. I don't know. Can you see
I love that.
auto? That is beautiful.
Yeah, that's a cool. I like how they did those cards.
Out of 20. That is. That's nice.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like the ink on
Dude,
that. That is cool.
I might just call it an episode at this point in time.
Okay, well then I'll open Contenders Basketball, which I'll see. We'll see real fast how quickly he jumps in.
Okay,
and
I'm back.
Doesn't call it. I'm back. All right, so now find 2 autographs. Contenders Basketball. Look at that. Everybody loves it. Loves it. All right, so there are 12 packs in a box. So just like all the other times we open, we're gonna split it down the middle.
I'm hoping for a Cade.
You're gonna get a
rookie ticket.
You're gonna get 11. I'm gonna get 8.
Perfect. That works out.
We didn't get to do that last time. I didn't want to throw the other one because that one's pretty heavy. I might take out our guy over there. I was saying, you just see the camera go.
You can't do that to Matt. Yeah, we're in the new studio today. In case you're wondering why our digs look a little bit different. New studio.
Nobody was wondering that.
I
Not anybody
just
out
want
there.
to talk about our studio.
So, what do you got?
Speaking of Trae Young,
There he is.
little Trae base.
There he goes. Yeah. So I was gonna show the base card. So you got Steph Curry. Boosh.
Ooh, oh, this is cool. Legendary Contenders, Shaq card.
Like Shaq. What uniform is that?
That's Miami.
Oh, Miami.
Yeah.
All right. And then
How
I
many years
pulled
was he in
a
Miami. How long?
lottery ticket, Scotty Barnes. Had a great year. Scotty. It's got a great name, by the way.
It is.
Spelled a
A nice
little,
ring to it.
spelled a little differently.
Was it special? Here we go. John Moran. Speaking of great season.
Not to sidetrack the podcast, but that is something that I get a lot. Is how do you spell Scotty? So like, Scotty Scheffler wins this weekend, Scotty Barnes, and there's a lot of guys that spell it TTIE. Well, I just put a Y on it.
Have you ever considered going TTIE?
Never.
Never.
That's too many letters, man. Because Scotty
It's tricky.
P. Scotty P.
Exactly. Yeah.
Buddy Hield out of 249. Look at that. That's pretty cool.
So who do you like for Rookie of the Year this year?
Cade Cunningham.
Okay.
That's it. I don't think there's going to be any. I think like Evan
Evan
Mobley had a good
and
year.
Even Scotty Barnes is up
Scotty
there.
Barnes had a great year. There were a couple guys I
Jalen
think
Suggs,
maybe.
but I don't think he's in the running.
Yeah,
this is
I was
cool.
gonna say I think Suggs and a couple of those other guys maybe needed a little more time.
Josh Giddey,
Giddey.
Franz Wagner had a really good season.
Yeah, Giddey looked good. Ooh, here's a die cut. Look at this die cut.
Gosh,
That's
those
Steph
lottery
Curry.
tickets are good looking.
die cut. That is really cool. I like
Oh, cool.
the funky die cut on that. See, that's pretty cool.
That is super nice. They got some serious shine to these inserts and Contenders. So the base are
It's one
less
shining
shiny.
moment.
It is. Talked about LaMelo earlier. Pulled him and Trey early on. That's a sign.
Okay, I got the first auto on card. This guy, Jonathan Kuminga.
Oh yeah,
He got to keep an eye on.
he's got some smoke.
Because
Yeah,
I think
like that guy.
was he not injured quite a bit of the year?
I think that's right.
And I think but people are really high on that guy.
So how many autos per box?
2.
I think 2. Okay.
So I've got one and you got one. We did it that way.
I got a chance. On average.
People are going to pull out and be like, they did that on purpose, man. Bradley Beal.
Gosh, I wanted Bradley
Sweet
Beal
shots.
to join the Mavs. Talk about it fairly often, but
I think Spencer Dinwiddie did all right.
he is. I'm happy one of them joined the Mavs, but I just wanted to see Beal play next to Luka.
All right. And my last hit. Oh, I got the
you got
other
both.
auto, though.
Hot
This
hand.
guy, I'm trying to see what that's number out of. Former Rookie of the Year, Michael Carter Williams, who Panini's own, another Panini's own. We
Is
had
that
him at a
right?
couple of events.
Cool guy.
Very cool guy.
Oh, here's Franz Wagner.
Franz Wagner.
And then got to show my Anthony Edwards. And that's all she wrote,
That's
man.
all she wrote,
Nice
man.
work.
There we go.
Hey, so
I'm
Contenders
exhausted, bro.
Basketball is awesome. I'm a big fan of Encased Football.
Yeah.
I think that's fun. So, guys, thanks for tuning in.
I'm tired.
Any closing thoughts?
Again, just tired. My back hurts from carrying this.
Here we go. The guy gives me one nickname, and all of a sudden he carries the show. So what can I say?
I'm giving multiple nicknames. I came up with the Hope for Hot Seat.
Well,
bro.
okay, fine.
You'd be you'd be
two-
lost. Your interviews
It's
would just
Scotty
be
2,
Your interviews would just be
FA
uncomfortable
0.
editing. Oh, hey, here we are editing. Hey, I'm here interviewing. Now it's like wah, 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 wah. Hope for Hot Seat, bro. You're
You
welcome.
got-
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Lasers, dude.
Lasers.